Hello everyone. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today I am Alisha Verma on behalf of Vitasta Publishing, and I wish all of you a very happy International Women's Day. And to celebrate the Wow Woman, we have with us an illustrious panel of these two amazing, brilliant women authors. Kusum Chopra is the author of this beautiful book called Nirbhaya. I hope you can see it. Yes, you can see it. Nirbhaya. And Satbir Chadha ma'am has authored For God Loves Foolish People and Betrayed. First of all, ma'am, a very happy International Day to both of you. Hello, how have you been?
Hi, good to see you.
Yeah. Satbir ma'am, how are you?
Alisha, Kusum, a very happy day to both of you.
Thank you. Um, I have a question that I'm going to ask both of you. Kusum ma'am, please go ahead first and answer it. It's a two-part question. First, I want to know about your struggles of having come so far. You have become an established author now who has a book in the market, and it's all the hype and all the beauty of it. But what are the hurdles behind where reaching where you have reached, being the woman that you have become, as well as the joys of being a woman?
Well, actually, I will tell you all about it in very few words. For
Yes, ma'am.
me, being a woman is undoubtedly a mixed pleasure. You see,
Okay.
so much depends on how we conduct ourselves and our surroundings. If we
Yeah.
allow ourselves to be constantly manipulated, then the balance will obviously go against us. You see?
Yeah.
Now, this has been happening down the centuries, and
Yeah.
nobody quite realized it or recognized it. Now it has been given a name. This whole process of manipulating women and making them feel inferior, that their work was not enough, while all the time that our talents were being used. Now they call it gaslighting.
Yeah.
Gaslighting earns you praise, and at the end of those three sentences of praise, there is a pause, and then there is a horrible word which starts, but, and then all that praise is stripped away, and somebody else gets the credit for it.
Yeah.
So it leaves you feeling that you are a pygmy, you know, which is a
Yeah.
really dreadful feeling. Yet, women have overcome those hurdles and they have moved forward to conquer so many different territories. So, today, for me, speaking
Yeah.
on behalf of all the women who have overcome gaslighting, as we call it, it gives me legitimate pride in being
Yeah.
a woman of today. I love the grace and the strength that femininity gives us. I love the fact that nature
Yeah.
allows us to renew ourselves every month till the day we die. I love the fact that we are
Yeah.
able to nurture and raise, bring out into the world, nurture and raise children, giving them
Yeah.
values which they will carry forward for the rest of their lives. Of course, it's a tough job,
Yeah.
but women have done it and they are still doing it. So that is a great strength,
Yes.
I feel. Of course,
Yeah.
uh, nature has shown us all the time in every sphere that
Yeah.
the future happens only when the female and the male unite. So
Yeah.
to tell you the truth, I have got very little patience with some demands which are raised that women should become like male women and the men should become like
Mm.
female men, because that doesn't make
Yeah.
any sense. Even nature, I don't
Yeah.
think would allow it. It is like
Yeah.
a country having a woman, having a man who's going to wear a skirt. Would that make any
Yeah.
sense? So
Not at all.
this is what I feel, that let us retain our own feminine grace and strength, which is God given.
Yeah.
And with
Yeah.
that, we can overcome. and we shall overcome.
Yeah.
That's it.
That that was wonderfully articulated. I don't think anyone could have done a better job than you. Um, Coming over to you, Satbir ma'am, how has your experience been reaching where you have reached, accomplishing what you have accomplished? I want to know both the sides, the hurdles and the joys. Don't spare anything out, please.
No, you'll be surprised actually. My hurdles will look very small to you because majorly I was a very pampered person, childhood, and brought up like feeling like the most important person in the world,
Yeah,
and good education. But the biggest hurdle came when I wanted to study and do medicine, and I was just at the age of 14 suddenly, told that I cannot study any further. I mean, I won't be able to study for more than 2 3 years, and I have to be married. So
yeah,
that was the biggest crush for my spirit. But happily, I mean, I did overcome it, and then I decided to excel in whatever I was doing. So I studied a lot of literature, a lot of history, took part in whatever I could, social activities, and even got married quite, not feeling any discomfort about it. But again, the blow came, when my husband said, I cannot complete my graduation even. It was like,
okay,
in spite of doing very well in the university. Okay,
yeah,
then okay, another defeat, but not a defeat. I'll not get a degree, but no one can stop me from learning. So I kept
yeah,
learning, reading. Same time, taking on the responsibilities of the family. Brought up four sons. Touchwood, they're all
yeah,
very educated and doing very well. And most
yeah,
of empowerment happened after I was married. This
yeah,
family gave more courage, more power, more equality, and more sense of purpose, and the you know gave me the liberty to take decisions, and everybody had to fall in line with my decisions, whatever I do. So I think the most
yeah,
empowering part after this, though it's different with most people, most women are basically crushed after they get married.
yeah.
My
And
father-in-law
it's
was
amazing. Hanji,
yeah,
please go on.
father-in-law was very encouraging, and we in this
Yeah,
family are very highly respected.
yeah.
That,
Okay. It's amazing that you mentioned that, your struggles might not seem like much. That's something all the women we feel through. We feel like, oh, mine isn't much. We have normalized the opportunities that are not given to us so much. We have faced harder things. But since you both are authors of two wonderful, wonderful books, from where did your love of books come from? And how did they help you empower yourself?
Well, all these books are born uh, from imagination, from a lot of
Yeah,
reading across different cultures, and of course, from
yeah,
the my experiences that I have been through as a journalist. Because as a journalist, when
yeah,
you go out in the field, you meet all sorts of people. And if I may confess, I'm an eavesdropper. When I'm sitting in a bus, I'll be sitting quietly and listening to all the conversations around me. When I'm in a train, I make friends, and then
yeah,
everybody is telling stories. So one hears so much human
yeah,
material, because people are not talking at a very high
yeah,
level of philosophy and all that. They are talking about their daily lives.
yeah,
So if you read
yeah,
my books don't give a lot of philosophical stuff. Those philosophies have to be translated into practical life, practical actions, practical thoughts of people who are living, in their
Yes.
homes, ordinary people who live life like we do. I recount such stories. All my philosophy comes
Yes.
through in my stories, in my behavior, or in the behavior of my human
Yeah.
characters. So that is what I do. I have read a
Yes.
lot of philosophy. When we are reading at certain age, we want to acquire all the philosophical knowledge. So we read all those books. Then we graduate to something different, and then we graduate to something different.
Yeah.
So when you start reading from a very early age, you go through so many phases of reading. You know, when you come to an advanced age, then it is time to
Yes.
actually, allow all that to ferment and mature, and then the stories just come into your head, and I write them down. Like for the last 2 days, I've been writing on FB. Those are little snippets which just came to me, and I had a paper and pen handy, and I wrote them down, and I put them out on Facebook. I'm planning to do that till Saturday. One
Yes.
little story a day. So those, of course, are very tiny. It's like flash fiction. But even my novels are basically like that, except for Mastani, which was based on hard research.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to find out the truth about all those myths which were created around her. And I have established her, that is one of the milestones of my
Yeah.
life, established
Oh,
her as
that's
a princess.
wonderful.
Otherwise, I write stories about real people living real lives and add a whole lot of my imagination to it to give it
Yeah.
turns and twists to keep the readers engaged.
Yeah.
Satbir?
Yes, yes. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Yeah. So, first of all, one thing I just want to tell you, Alicia, it's not all about normalizing what's going on around us. It's that we come above so quickly. That is our empowerment, I feel. And that should be for men and women. Men are being crushed also all the time, but they also rise above. And they are not pitied, they are just okay, they will. Why should women get more sympathy and pity than men? This is what I find very disempowering.
Yes.
Yes. Now, one thing,
Yes.
my habits developed very early when I was just about 7, 8 years old. So I was given big books to read, right.
Yeah.
That habit was cultivated, and I was
Yeah.
all, I mean, even when I had a baby on my breast, I would have a book in my hand. I was that addicted to reading. So, of course, that was there, but
Yeah.
I,
It's a
I never knew I could write. So my son who's a musician, he just read something I've written and he
yeah.
wanted me to start writing. So this memoirs happened.
Okay.
This first book.
Oh my God, that's wonderful.
This is how it happened. And then of course Betrayed was a story which I really wanted to write because about it's a medical thriller, you know about it. That really needed to be
Yeah.
spoken. Then I wrote a lot of short stories which have been published in many anthologies, and I'm going to give Vitasta a set of short stories soon. And then I went into poetry.
Perfect. We will be waiting.
So now I'm writing a lot of poetry. Two of my collections have been published, Breeze and Glass Doors, and another two will be maybe next year. But yes, my short story,
Okay.
yes. And every story comes
Okay.
out of another story,
Uh, yeah, it does. It does. It does. I'm glad that you mentioned that bit about empowering and getting empowered, because I recall that when we were planning this whole campaign, when we were planning this entire Women's Day thing, I remember Renu ma'am saying that, who are we to empower anyone? There are people who are already empowered. We just need to boost the voices that are already there.
yes.
Because the onus, you know, we as anyone cannot actually help anyone if they don't want to be helped or they don't want to get out of the situation that they are in, maybe. But of course, there are a lot of different factors in this situation, so can't comment on it. But coming to our last question, um, tell us a bit about your books, because today is our day. Let's take this day to raise the voices that should be raised. So I really want to know about your books from both of you.
Well, my first book was called Beyond Diamond Rings. It
Yeah,
was about the evolution of Sindhi women from
yeah,
pre-partition till the turn of the
yeah,
century. Now, I am
yeah.
myself, I was born in Sindhi. I was married to a Punjabi, hence my surname Chopra. I was born in Sindhi.
Okay.
And fortunately, because I was, my entire childhood was spent abroad, I knew very little about uh, Sindh and how the Sindhis had to struggle through the partition and post-partition in India. Because abroad the scene was different. The men were already established over there. They had flourishing businesses. So life was
Yeah,
just, as usual. We were not aware of
yeah,
the struggles which our own Sindhis were going through here in India. I only discovered
yeah,
those as a grown up after I came to Ahmedabad, which has
yeah,
a large Sindhi population also. So then I recalled my own particular, we have groups. I belong to the Bhaiban group, who are basically traders and businessmen. So I wrote a story. Actually, it was my younger daughter who sparked it off. Every now and then she'd say, Mama, tell me about your childhood. Tell me about your childhood. So I would recollect all the memories which my mother had given me, and I put them together. And the book was very popular, with the readers. Then, as I told you, Mastani, I'm a history find, and I used to find that one sentence in every history book about Bajirao, Peshwa Bajirao the First, that his life and times were greatly influenced by a Muslim dancing girl called Mastani. And nobody knew who
yeah,
she was, what she was. I spoke to history professors, historians, everything in Pune, nobody knew anything. So I dug and I dug and I dug and dug for 22 years.
wow,
Meanwhile, I had started working on a series of stories, which,
yeah,
while the Narmada crisis was on, she was in hospital. At one of our lit meets here, a young man asked me, Ma'am, I want to read some of the stories you've written. So I gave him a bunch,
yeah,
which was put together actually as a group called Sisters, because there were about half a dozen stories about sisters with different faiths and stuff like that. And in less
yeah,
than a week, he brought it back and he says, Ma'am, you were writing about Nirbhaya before she happened? Because all those stories were about women who were fighting against their circumstances in
yes,
different,
yes,
setups. So that is the
yeah,
way it went. And then that inspired me. See, I tell a whole lot of stories, and Vitasta published that book. And it
yeah.
was really done very well. After
We
that,
are glad.
I had, sort of decided that I want to write something for elderly people because
Yeah,
I found that older people did not have much reading material. All the
yeah,
books which were being written, the bestsellers, they were appealing to the 20 to 40 crowd. What about those at 50 and
yeah,
above who were fond of reading? While you're raising your children and getting on with your career, you sort of, put your reading aside. But once you retire, then you want to go back to reading. You want to be in the modern era, but you also want that little bit of nostalgia of days gone by. So that is how I
yeah.
created Silver Dreams. And then
Okay.
after that, I had written one paragraph from a story a long time ago about two ladies and an old abandoned bungalow. And
Yeah.
I just could not figure out how to take the story forward.
Okay.
Uh, on a whim, I sent a WhatsApp message to various writers groups here in Ahmedabad. Is anybody interested in a collaborative project? And I gave them the address and my telephone number. And about 30 people showed up.
Yeah.
When I told them that this is what it's all about, of course, a lot of them dropped out. But there were 10 diehards who stuck on. So there were 10 of us. We collaborated to write that book, Altitudinous Seekers,
Yeah.
Sinners, and Secrets. I had expected
Nice.
that I would be writing a social novel about two childless women, but it ended up as a
Yeah.
defense research thriller you know, about turn.
That's
And oh my God, the sort of battles we used to have over every word and every phase there. So it was good
yeah.
fun. Then my
That sounds
last book,
amazing.
huh? This,
That
you
sounds
must read
wonderful.
it. You must read it. And then finally, my last book, I told you
Yeah.
I keep writing, long short stories also. So,
Yeah.
and I keep
Yeah.
jotting down stuff, which I can insert into other stories. If I think of something interesting, I see something interesting, I hear something interesting, I keep making notes. I've got piles of notes all over my study. And every now and then I have to sit and rip up
Yeah.
papers. So I had
Yeah.
these three short stories, and the lockdown happened. So I figured that everybody would be reading. So I brought
Yeah.
out a quick ebook. It is titled Rishtey, and there are three short stories in
Oh,
it. Have you read it, Satbir?
Yes, yes, not that one. I've read the diamonds.
You read the Diamond Ring, but you must download
I,
Rishtey.
I will.
It's
That's.
on Kindle, it's a free download on Unlimited.
I'll
And
get.
it's good fun. I'm getting very good response for it.
Yeah, the
So
next.
my books are just sort of, you could say just whim, and that there it goes. Because
That
you think
that's
of something,
is
yes,
the most spontaneous.
uh,
Then
it's all
the
different genres. That's why
yeah,
I'm called a genre gypsy. I jump from different genres. And
yeah.
that's the way it is.
that's wonderful to hear. I would love to read all of these books. But Sadhvir ma'am, tell us about your books.
Yes, you have for God love foolish.
Can I give you one more sentence
Yes,
about
please.
Nirbhaya? Because that's what this program is all about. Nirbhaya
Hanji.
gave me a serious sense of achievement because I'll tell you why. Out of the 22 stories in Nirbhaya, 10 are about widowhood and divorce.
Wow.
And in
Okay.
each of those 10, my Nirbhaya takes a different stand because there are so many ways of accepting or rejecting, divorce or widowhood. So
Yeah.
each of my Nirbhayas takes a different stand for what is most important to her, so that people who read it know that there are so many options. We don't have to just go by log kya kahenge.
Yes,
We can
exactly.
exercise our own choice. So I
Yes.
think that's a wonderful thing. I'm very proud of that achievement.
Great. Congratulations for that.
Thank
We are
you.
too, ma'am. We are too.
So, Alicia, my for God loves,
Hanji.
it happened very spontaneously, and I'm glad I had those awesome journeys and awesome stories in my life, which I could share in that book, and they're all true
Yeah.
fiction. And you know, and
That's wonderful.
I just walked into Renu at the book fair, and she just liked hearing about the book, and she said, "I'm going to publish this." So I had no problem looking for a publisher also. Bit-
Lucky you.
That's wonderful.
a betrayal, interestingly, was planned at the same. And again, Renu read a paragraph or something, uh, going through my email. She said, "Give me this one also." That's mainly about medical malpractice, and
Oh,
but
yeah.
there's a huge human interest story also. So there's a powerful
Yeah.
who becomes a widow in Pakistan, and where she later reaches. And there's a younger girl who suddenly hears the word orphan, and adopts
Yeah.
this changes her life. So it's a psychological story, a thriller, and you must read it, because you'll only come to know the end of the last page. Where it's heading.
Yeah.
And of course is like breathing. But whatever you read, whatever you read,
Yes.
you
Oh,
won't think that I'm a feminist anyway. I am not. I'm just a humanist. All humans are same. That's my religion and we've been brought up. Of course, one message I would like to give today, especially if you really feel anybody can empower women or do something for women, please empower them financially. Because today Kusum and I are sitting
yeah.
here talking big because we never had financial constraints. So the most littlest of women,
Yes.
if they are given financial access, even if they are given free education, free medical care, you would start empowering them truly.
Yes, that is wonderful to hear. That's so true. I'm glad that you have said that because it feels like one practical way in which the world can help more women. Uh, and that brings us to the end of this session. Thank you, Kusum ma'am. Thank you, Satbir ma'am, for coming with us. And of course, this session wouldn't have been possible without the wonderful women of Vitasta. More about them later in the week. But yes, every day at 4 o'clock, we will be live from this channel talking to more and more female voices, the ones that have, been authored by Vitasta and others. And thank you so much for coming. Thank you so much for tuning in. It has been a pleasure, and I hope that it was a pleasure for you too.
All of you ladies at Vitasta, my love to all of you. Bless you all.
Yes, ma'am. Hopefully, I will be able to get them all on this panel one day and tell the world that we talk about women empowerment, and here is a company which is run by majorly women, and that's a wonderful
It's
accomplishment of Renu, ma'am.
all female publishing house. I mean, most of the top people are the ladies. They're doing a great job.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
chalo then take care and
Okay.
have
Yes,
Thank you,
ma'am.
Alisha.
Perfect. Thank you so
Thank
much
you,
for coming.
bye then.
thank you,
Bye.
Vitasta, for this beautiful
Thank,
occasion.
thank you, ma'am. Bye bye. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.